In light of the credible allegations against Graham Platner, there have been resounding calls for him to drop out of the race, and many are still wondering who his replacement will be. But we just got the biggest confirmation yet that Troy Jackson, the DSA backed former gubernatorial candidate and Maine politician, may be stepping up to the plate with this post, which reads: Susan Collins turned her back on Mainers a long time ago. Together we can defeat her. Get involved at troyjackson.org. And then this image here of a polling that was done that shows Jackson actually outpacing Collins by 5 percentage points. Tony and I talked yesterday extensively on the topic if you want more information or our thoughts about the whole thing, but in our conversation, we did talk a little bit about Troy Jackson. He came up as a possible replacement for Platner, and here we are. Now, this is not an official confirmation. He is not running, and Graham Platner has not, as of yet, dropped out, but we will still have to wait and see, and this is the most clear sign as of yet that Jackson is at the very least extremely interested.
Troy Jackson is a name we should be getting used to because he's now the odds-on favorite to be the nominee. Bernie Sanders endorsed Troy Jackson's campaign for governor, and Democrats know that in order to win this race, they're going to need the support of progressives. They can't have a split party. But Jackson represents probably Democrats' best chance, given that some of the other people in the mix could be portrayed as having shallower roots in Maine.
When you go to the website that he links at that post, it brings you to this page where a donation button shows up and his short statement about the whole matter, which reads in short: there's a powerful movement of working class people in the state of Maine. Together we can bring our shared progressive vision to life. And then he continues: while I haven't made any final decisions yet, I'm deeply humbled by the outpouring of support and encouragement I've received. While I'm weighing the best path forward to support the working class political revolution Mainers are fighting for, I'd be honored to have your support to make sure we're ready for whatever is next. Solidarity forever, Troy. So we are still unsure. And to be clear, this is not an endorsement or me throwing myself support behind Jackson or anything like that, right? Again, we just have to wait and see. But another major sign that he is running is this statement where he talks about a potential endorsement from Graham Platner and how he doesn't want it. He told NBC News, quote, "I don't want it. It's unfortunate, but I just don't want it." And the statement itself makes sense. He doesn't want to be affiliated, much better for the guy who to just stand up and take the reins of this race when, the state needed him most. But why would he be looking for an endorsement if he isn't running? Also, according to Politico, Troy Jackson has deleted several posts that he's made about Graham Platner in the past. Couldn't be another sign that he is trying to pivot and be, why would he be doing that? Again, all conjecture. But what isn't conjecture are these internal polling numbers done by the Graham Platner campaign, which shows that Troy Jackson is leading the pack when it comes to facing off against Susan Collins, with other Maine politicians like Shanna Bellows and Nirav Shah also polling around where Susan Collins is at. But Troy Jackson is in the lead, and Graham Platner is polling below Susan Collins. There was also this post about Valley Geiger, who is a state representative out there, and Graham Platner endorsing her, but the campaign has come out basically saying that that hasn't happened. He called her and basically said he encouraged her to run, and that was basically it. So all of this is strange, right? Jackson is leading in the polls, posting about it, talking about endorsements. It's all very interesting, but I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the Progressive Victory posts about him, an organization steeped in controversy who falsely claimed that Jackson had in the past attacked a woman with a water bottle. We're going to take a look at the statement and their retraction. I just want to make that very clear. This statement is not true. So starting off, they posted this yesterday talking about Troy Jackson, and they said, as Maine Senate president in a state Senate caucus meeting several years ago, Troy Jackson, in a heated disagreement, struck a female colleague with a water bottle he threw at her. There are many witnesses, and it appears this is a widespread open secret within Maine politics and not an isolated incident. However, this post is factually untrue. The Progressive Victory posted this without proper vetting, which is not what we need right now. Proper vetting is what we need. And I get that that's what they were trying to do here, but just not the way to go about it. They posted this follow-up that writes, "Last night, in the wake of the news about Graham Platner, our public unendorsement of him, and our sense of alarm we felt watching everything go down, we made a mistake. When we received the information about Troy Jackson, our fear was that the left was about to accidentally rally behind another potential monster. We panicked and spread unverified allegations in a post about Troy Jackson that has rightfully received criticism. We agree with many of you that we acted in a manner that was irresponsible and inappropriate. This post was inexcusable. It is not the only post that is inexcusable, and we ourselves need to make a change." So they go on a little bit about their organization, and then they finish it off with, "We will be taking down our post about Troy Jackson and leaving this kind of thing to the people far more qualified. We deeply apologize to Troy Jackson and the other candidates whom we rushed to speak negatively about recently." So yeah, proper vetting, very important right now, right? And we need to make sure that we get this right. The left needs to get this right because it is crucial. And I get being wary of other candidates right now. I get it. But it's also important to not smear candidates like this. It's completely unacceptable. Hassan Piker here actually talks about this exact situation, and he has much more smoke than you'd expect.
A right-wing smear against a dude who's been in the state legislature and the president for 6 years, been in the state legislature for 20 plus years, is being elevated as though it's like a serious fucking problem that is known by everyone in Maine state politics, because the Progressive Victory group posted it. These unsubstantiated right-wing smears posted it and then deleted it. Are you out of your fucking mind? They are deeply unserious. Hopefully they learn something from these lessons. Jesus Christ.
And he is understandably upset in this moment. Troy Jackson might be the only case scenario forward to save this race after Graham Platner inevitably, hopefully, drops out. And I'm not an expert in Maine politics in any way. That's why I'm leaving it up to the Mainers, who will decide this decision, and already have had an internal poll that shows that most of them are for Troy Jackson over other candidates, right? It seems pretty clear to me. And as Hassan Piker points out here in the same stream, Troy Jackson might be the only path forward to saving the entire Senate majority.
Senate majority is profoundly important, okay? It's profoundly important to make sure that there is some semblance, a crumb of accountability, a gumming up of the works of the Trump administration's bouldering towards fascism. They are going to want a substitute that is similar without the rape allegations. That substitute seems to me to be Troy Jackson. If the DNC tries to put a hand-selected candidate from Chuck Schumer after the unbelievable victory that they received, the whopping that they got from Graham Platner, in spite of his fucking red flags, I'm telling you right now, there will be a lot of people that go, fuck this, I'm out.
And I think Hassan is 100% correct, right? If the establishment picks a candidate, like a career politician, establishment pick corporate Democrat, this race is over, right? It is just, it's done, right? People were excited about Graham Platner, about his policies, about the movement he stood behind. But as me and Tony talked about yesterday, it's not the man, right? It's the movement. And Troy Jackson is a progressive, right? He follows a lot of the same ideologies and principles and politics that Graham Platner held, right? He's backed by the DSA. He has a history in Maine politics. He's a known figure. He is like people are interested in him taking up this position. So if an institutional milquetoast Janet Mills style candidate is picked by the establishment, Maine is lost. Now, by me saying all this, I'm not saying we throw our cards into Troy Jackson without anything, right? There are other options, Mainers, we already talked about them, right? And they would know better than I. But from everything I'm seeing right now, Troy Jackson might be the best play. And the longer that he has to campaign and be out there and get his name out, the better, right? But the strangeness does not end there. And it does worry me about the rise of a, potential centrist Democrat in this race, as Graham Platner's campaign organizing director, Spencer Toth, has stepped down from his organizing director role of the Maine Democratic Party, stating, quote, "I can no longer continue in this role consistent with my values or with my responsibility to the organizers, staff, and volunteers who have poured themselves into this work." He continues saying, the Maine Democratic Party said that the people who built this movement will have no role in determining our next Democratic nominee for U.S. Senate, nor in determining what this process looks like. That work matters. It cannot be treated as disposable. The people who knocked hundreds of thousands of doors, organized their communities, and built local teams across the state deserve transparency, respect, and a meaningful voice in what comes next. There is no path to defeating Susan Collins without honoring and engaging the grassroots movement that has been built all across Maine. The future of this race and this party should not be decided without the people who made this movement possible, and I sincerely hope this is a call to action for every Mainer who put their heart and soul into this mission. Yeah, so he's right? And he's talking about this video right here, which I will play, of the Democratic Party, the Maine Democratic Party Executive Director, Devin Murphy Anderson, releasing this video last night about the state of the race.
Hi, everyone. I wanted to provide you all an update on the U.S. Senate race here in Maine. As you know, the Maine Democratic Party has been working around the clock to develop a process to replace our U.S. Senate nominee that is open, inclusive, transparent, and fair. The integrity of this process is just as important as the outcome, and we are committed to ensuring that Democrats across our state can have confidence in both. Unfortunately, Graham Platner's team has repeatedly reached out to us in an attempt to put their thumb on the scale of what this process looks like. We have repeatedly reiterated to Graham Platner's team that they have no role in determining our next Democratic nominee for the U.S. Senate, nor in determining what this process looks like. We have also reiterated that Graham Platner must drop out of this race so that Democrats in Maine can focus on defeating Susan Collins this November. We look forward to making this process public as soon as Graham Platner formally withdraws from this race.
So I don't know about you, but to me that does sound like an excuse to shoehorn in someone who doesn't have the same politics as Platner, right? It sounds like just an excuse to get in a centrist Democrat because they think it's the safe option. But we'll have to wait and see, right? And Grant Platner is expected to drop out of this race at any moment as I'm recording this, right? This statement just came out a few minutes ago, which reads, Platner will announce his decision through a recorded video, but the Platner campaign first wants to hear from supporters before any announcement is made. And this came out literally just a few minutes ago, right before I started recording this. So by the time you're seeing this, he might have already dropped out. I don't actually know, but be sure that you stay updated on the channel because we will continue to watch this very closely. So be sure you subscribe so you don't miss anything like that. Leave a comment down below because I want to hear your thoughts, and be sure to like this video. But I think that's going to do it for me. I'm Iago Lashua. Have a good day. Goodbye.